Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As always, it's great to have you here. Whether you're a regular who never misses an upload or someone who's just stumbling upon us for the first time, welcome. You're in for a real deep dive today, so make sure you stay till the end. The content in this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended as financial, investment, or legal advice. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Cryptocurrency investments carry significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The value of crypto assets can fluctuate widely, and past performance is not indicative of future results. I do not guarantee any specific outcome or profit. I may hold positions in the cryptocurrencies discussed in this video. All opinions expressed are my own. Bitcoin down to the smallest altcoins in the top 100. Not a single one looks like it's having a good day. In fact, most of them look downright miserable. Yesterday was red. The day before that, also red. And if we rewind the charts to last week, it hasn't exactly been sunshine and rainbows either. It's been one of those stretches where long-term holders grit their teeth and short-term traders probably wish they stayed in bed. Just to put things in perspective, this kind of consistent market-wide correction doesn't happen without shaking out the weak hands. Now let's zoom in on the king of crypto, Bitcoin. Despite the turmoil, Bitcoin is still holding above that critical psychological level of $100,000. That's somewhat of a relief, but also kind of deceptive. Because while Bitcoin is relatively stable, it's not carrying the rest of the market with it. Ethereum barely budged over the last few days. It hasn't dipped hard, but it's also not rallying, and that's telling. It's like the big players are frozen, waiting for a signal, while the altcoins are out here getting absolutely demolished. And that's a huge red flag going into the weekend. We're filming this on a Thursday, and as many of you seasoned investors know, weekends in crypto are notoriously low volume. Low volume tends to equal high volatility, and not always in the direction we like. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these next few days play out, especially with so much uncertainty and a complete lack of positive catalysts across the board. All right, enough of the doom and gloom. Let's talk about something that's actually showing signs of life. Zeek, or more specifically, the Zebec Network, ZBCN. There's some extremely interesting and positive news that just came out, and I think it deserves your full attention. Zebec Network just dropped a massive announcement over on X, formerly Twitter. They've officially acquired Gate Knox, which is a huge step forward for their infrastructure. Why is this a big deal? Because Gate Knox brings built-in KYC, Know Your Customer, KYB, Know Your Business, and AML anti-money laundering capabilities directly into the Zebec ecosystem. This is a massive move that strengthens Zebec's compliance framework and makes them more attractive for enterprise-level adoption and serious capital inflow. And that's not even the end of it. Zebec is aligning itself with some major industry players, names that anyone who's been in crypto for longer than a week will instantly recognize. I'm talking about Polygon and NEO protocol. These aren't your average small-cap projects trying to find footing. These are well-established, battle-tested blockchain ecosystems that have built serious credibility over the years. So when Zebec is building out partnerships and integrations with platforms like these, it tells you one thing loud and clear. They're planning for longevity. They're preparing for something much bigger than a quick hype cycle or short-term pump. And that, folks, is exactly why I remain bullish on ZBCN. Despite the choppy market, despite the short-term corrections, despite the red candles. Yes, the charts look ugly right now. Yes, we're in a short-term pullback. But development is still happening. Deals are still being made. The roadmap is still being executed, and that's more important than temporary price action. Let's talk about what the community is saying. There's growing chatter about Zebec's inventory nearing a potential sold-out status, and that should get your attention. Why? Because when a coin gets sold out or approaches its circulating supply cap, and the demand remains steady or increases, we're looking at a possible supply shock. And supply shock almost always leads to price spikes, assuming sentiment stays bullish. At the time of this recording, ZBCN has about 79.17% of its total token supply in circulation. That's nearly 80%, meaning the circulating supply is approaching completion. Now, that doesn't mean every remaining token is going to be released overnight. In fact, token unlocks are scheduled monthly all the way until March 2026. That's right, we've got nearly 2 more years of gradual dilution to account for. But here's where it gets interesting. These token unlocks so far haven't had a catastrophic effect on price. For example, the last unlock led to a minor dip in price, a bit of profit taking, and then, boom, a massive bounce. The price actually skyrocketed shortly after the unlock. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be the case every single time. We've got another unlock coming up in just a couple of weeks. But if history repeats even a little, things could get very, very exciting again. Let's break down some hard numbers for the analytics crowd. ZBCN is currently sitting at a market cap of $371 million. That's not tiny by any means, but it's also not fully priced in. The coin is down about 9% today, which is definitely painful in the short term. But the more concerning stat is the volume, which has absolutely fallen off a cliff. In the last 24 hours, trading volume has dropped a whopping 46%, currently sitting at $52.78 million. Just yesterday, we were looking at $91 million in daily volume. So that's a major dip in investor interest, or at least trading activity. Volume often precedes price, and low-volume weekends can make price action very unpredictable. Now let's pull up the charts. Yesterday, I talked about a bearish pattern forming, specifically a classic head and shoulders pattern. I even drew it out for those of you who follow along visually, and guess what? It's playing out almost perfectly. We've now formed the full shoulder structure, and that neckline support is being tested. If we break through that neckline, we could be in for a deeper correction. Let's rewind a bit to give context. ZBCN hit 47 cents during its big run-up back in late May, specifically on May 24th. At that point, everyone was euphoric. Social media was buzzing, people were throwing around the term moonshot like it was guaranteed. The previous resistance, which was around 333 cents, had been broken decisively. The coin was flying. But now, on June 5th, we're revisiting that same price, around 4.7, and the vibe is totally different. There's hesitation, there's fear, there's uncertainty. Why? Because the market around it has shifted. That's the emotional roller coaster that is crypto. One day you're celebrating a breakout, and 2 weeks later you're praying to hold support. Right now, it looks like ZBCN bottomed at 41 cents after hitting the all-time high of 0.7 cents. It then bounced back and found a temporary floor at 4.44. If we can hold above 44, that's a very bullish sign. But if we drop below that, then yes, we're likely revisiting 33 territory. So, what does this mean for investors? If you believe in Zebec long-term and you've done your research, then these prices may actually present a buying opportunity. I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell you what I'd do. I'd set limit buy orders at lower levels like 3 cents just in case we do get that deeper pullback. Having buy orders waiting at strategic levels means you don't have to panic. You're prepared either way. All right, to close things out today, let's take a quick look at something from the wild side of crypto, meme coins. We've all seen the charts, the insane pumps, the impossible gains, and then, just as fast, the devastating crashes. So there was this meme coin I showed you guys a few days ago. It went absolutely parabolic, reaching a peak market cap of $233 million. Sounds awesome, right? Well, guess what? It's now sitting at just $147,000 market cap. That's over a 90% drop from its highs. In just 24 hours, it's lost about 70% of its value. And that's the brutal reality of the meme coin world. Sure, you can get in early and potentially ride it to insane gains, but most people get in too late and end up holding the bag. If you do play the meme game, treat it like the lottery. Fun, high risk, and absolutely not a replacement for real investing. So, that's all I've got for you guys today. I hope you found some value in this video. If you did, please consider hitting that like button, subscribing, and ringing the bell so you don't miss the next update.